You are the King Joffrey of pop.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 celebrity roasts.
But David is more than just a terrible actor. He's also a terrible singer.
For this list, we'll be ranking the funniest and most iconic times famous folks got roasted. Which of these made you laugh the loudest? Let us know in the comments. Number 20. Drew Carey. The New York Friars Club roast of Drew Carey. The 1998 roast of comedian Drew Carey was the first of the long-standing Friars Club roasts to be publicly televised on Comedy Central.
I think that one of the reasons I'm here is sort of to make it look like you have more women friends, and strippers don't make good public speakers.
These events were notorious for their blue humor and bawdy content. Carey's roast is substantially lighter in tone, although the old-school feel of the Friars Club is still very much intact. Jeff Ross predictably kills it, setting the tone for the many times the comic would steal the spotlight in the years to come. Ross's commentary about the average age of the guests in attendance speaks to the event's classic vibe.
Look at this. Abe Vigoda, Freddie Roman, Alan Kings. I've seen younger faces on Cash.
Meanwhile, Roastmaster Ryan Stiles keeps the whole thing together with class and a bright wit.
And I have to say, no matter what you hear about him tonight, Drew is one of the sweetest, one of the most talented. What was the third one?
Number 19. Dean Martin. The Dean Martin Celebrity Roast. That old school feeling of the Friars Club roasts got a chance to shine when Dean Martin hosted his own series of roasts back in the 1970s and 80s.
And Bob Hope, you were beautiful. You know, from the day Bob was born, everyone knew that he was going to be a comedian. Who can ever forget his first words? But seriously, nurse.
These specials will likely ring more nostalgic for viewers of a certain age, particularly those who remember when Dino himself was the victim. The many roasters who poke fun at the Hollywood icon largely take the easy road with numerous quips about Martin's famously inebriated public persona.
He may not have fired the shot heard round the world, but he would have drunk it, and you know.
Jokes about the Rat Pack are also obviously featured, and it's a good time all around. Just look at how enthusiastically everyone reacts. It's classic stuff.
Frank Dean, Sammy Davis, Joey Bishop, and Peter Lawford. They made Las Vegas what it is today, the off-ramp between Sodom and Gomorrah.
Number 18. Roseanne Barr. Comedy Central Roast. Half of the fun of watching a celebrity roast can be the roaster's skewing of other guests. No one is safe from Amy Schumer when she comes on stage for Roseanne Barr's roast.
Look at this dais. Roseanne, Ellen, Jane, Carrie, Kate. You ladies are like the women's Olympic gymnastics team. Tired, overheated, and you don't get your periods anymore.
She takes fiery pot shots aimed squarely at everyone in attendance. Then she sets her sights on the guest of honor.
Honestly, you look so beautiful now. It was hard to write jokes about you. It's too bad you didn't look like this when it mattered.
Of course, Schumer isn't the only highlight here. Married with Children actress Katie Sagal also delivers a memorable set, while Barr herself is even good-natured about the appearance of her ex, Tom Arnold. She can't resist slipping in a few digs at him, but it is a roast after all.
I'd really like to thank Tom for showing up tonight. It was very brave. And he was very funny. But Jesus Christ, how many jobs do I have to get for that guy?
Number 17. Rob Reiner. The New York Friars Club roast of Rob Reiner. The New York Friars Club roast of Rob Reiner was another early televised roast on Comedy Central. It also speaks largely to the controversial nature of the medium's vintage style of comedy.
It was difficult for me to come up with stuff to say about you, so I'm just going to shit on Richard Belzer.
Here, however, it sort of makes sense, as Reiner had been among the cast of one of television's most groundbreaking sitcoms, All in the Family. Reiner takes all of the jokes in stride, including a set from Triumph, the insult comic dog.
But you know what? You know what? I like being here right next to Rob, though. For once, no one will blame me for farting.
The latter pokes fun at Reiner's resume and appearance, while other subjects include his marriage to Laverne and Shirley star Penny Marshall. Some of the gags are dated, but the event can still serve as a fun link between comedy roasts of the past and present. Number 16. Flavor Flav, Comedy Central Roast. It's an understatement to say that the late Greg Giraldo is missed by fans of truly ruthless comedy. The man had so many iconic roast moments that it's truly difficult to pick a favorite.
You just had your appendix out. Apparently you can get appendicitis from being overrated. That was the one that was too much.
Giraldo's set from the Comedy Central roast of Flavor Flav might just be the man's shining hour, however. It's that good. Every barb and insult almost sounds poetic erupting from his mouth.
I love the crown. You look like King Lear got trapped in a forest fire.
They cut to the heart of each target with some fairly transgressive results, yet Giraldo's delivery is so likable that he gets away with it. Seriously, if you haven't seen this segment, watch it now.
Flavor of Love. I've seen more culturally uplifting entertainment at a Tijuana donkey show.
Number 15. David Hasselhoff, Comedy Central Roast. Fans aren't always made privy to what goes on behind the scenes of a celebrity roast. Jokes are sometimes edited out of the taped broadcast.
This is a show that did for lifeguards what skin cancer did for lifeguards.
Other times, the subject in question has specific requests as to what's fair game and what's off the table. But David Hasselhoff reportedly laid it all out on the table for his roast, allowing the group of roasters to let loose with their best shots. And his method pays off.
David Hasselhoff walks into a bar every morning and then he stays there till it closes.
The roast strikes the best kind of balance, as the truthful barbs fly while maintaining an aura of mutual admiration and respect. This one's funny, mean, and everything in between.
But you know what, David? Our friendship is real. That's why I'm honored to be here for you. You've been an inspiration to me throughout my career, and I can't tell you what a thrill it's been to overshadow you on a TV show again.
Number 14. James Franco, Comedy Central Roast. First off, it's important to address the elephant in the room. We'll admit the news of James Franco's alleged sexual misconduct may shine a different light onto his Comedy Central roast of his career, but it doesn't make the actual special any less funny or entertaining.
Acting, teaching, directing, writing, producing, photography, soundtracks, editing. Is there anything you can do?
This is thanks largely to the level of talent on display with members including Nick Kroll, Andy Samberg, and Bill Hader. Seth Rogen also does a great job as roast master.
Look at me doing all the talking while you sit there doing nothing. I feel like I'm co-hosting the Oscars with you.
There's no denying the fact that this is a great lineup filled with roasters who know how to tell a joke.
Robert De Niro, Sean Penn, Julia Roberts. These are just some of the huge stars James has worked with who didn't want to be here tonight.
Number 13. Donald Trump, Comedy Central Roast. Hey, remember when Donald Trump was just known as the real estate and television guy as opposed to the 45th president of the United States?
And soon the top-rated TV show in the nation starred a total asshole torturing people who were stupid enough to work with him. In addition to 2.5 Men, The Apprentice was also a pretty popular show.
This Comedy Central roast was also notable for the backstage request by Trump concerning jokes about his finances. Gags commenting on discrepancies between his perceived value and real-life worth were apparently a no-go, although we still think the roast is pretty damn funny.
Donald say he wants to run for president and move on into the White House. Why not? It wouldn't be the first time you pushed a black family out of their home.
He goes along with the jokes for the most part, although his reactions do feel a bit stiff and forced. Still, the dais of roasters, which includes Marlee Matlin with an assist by Gilbert Gottfried, put in admirable performances.
Donald always says money can't buy happiness, but it can buy the best Eastern European whores New York City has to offer.
Number 12. Chevy Chase, the New York Friars Club roast of Chevy Chase. It's no secret that many of Chevy Chase's collaborators have found him to be a difficult presence on set. Still, he's arguably one of the best to ever do it. But we admit it's definitely fun to see him in the hot seat here. Stephen Colbert lays into him with an intelligent ruthlessness.
He's Chevy Chase, and you're not. And if that doesn't cheer you up, I don't know what will.
Chase's National Lampoon's co-star Beverly D'Angelo also injects her segment with humor, warmth, and musical accompaniment. Indeed, she performs a fun and frisky routine about life, love, and intimacy, making the most of her singing ability while making us laugh.
I can't sit on a knob without becoming a total slob about it.
It's pretty wonderful. Number 11. Joan Rivers, Comedy Central Roast. The late great Joan Rivers was another celebrity roast victim who actually had some requests prior to being skewered by Hollywood's best and brightest.
When Joan was born, the doctors took a look at her and said, "Holy shit, we're gonna make a fortune on this one."
However, she simply wanted to nix comments about her daughter Melissa. This request is honored easily enough, and the roast isn't any less hilarious as a result.
Joan, your face is like the war in Iraq, an expensive, bloody mess that everybody's tired of seeing on TV.
If anything, Rivers herself steals the show when she finally ascends to the dais to exact some revenge. Her moment at the podium reminds us exactly how sharp, witty, and intelligent she was as a writer, comedian, and performer.
But I am proud to say, just like our flag in its lifetime, this face also has had 50 stars on it.
Needless to say, it makes us miss the legend even more than we thought possible. Number 10. Sammy Davis Jr., The Dean Martin Celebrity Roast. Members of the Rat Pack were always prime targets when it came to a Dean Martin Celebrity Roast, and the legendary Sammy Davis Jr. was no exception.
Also, you'll never catch Sammy walking through Central Park. He doesn't want to be mugged by a pigeon.
The man's song and dance pedigree is unquestionable, but that doesn't stop many of his famous friends from stopping by to give him a hard time.
Sammy's someone who was really dazzling to a kid just out of New York, like a fascinating sight, wearing a long white fur coat, rings, jewelry, high heels. I didn't know whether to ask him for an autograph or a date.
It should be said that the often racially motivated slant to some of the humor wouldn't and shouldn't necessarily fly today. But it doesn't feel mean-spirited, and Davis Jr. takes it all in stride. After all, the saying goes, we only roast the ones we love, and Sammy Davis Jr. was loved by a lot of people.
I'll say this for Sammy, he always knew how to make a woman feel tall. He just stood by her side.
Number 9. Bob Hope, The Dean Martin Celebrity Roast. The Dean Martin Celebrity Roast of Bob Hope is one of the best remembered and most enduring of its day. It also served as a cool connection between the Friars Club roasts of old and the new, edgier humor of the 1970s.
You look great tonight, Bob. One looks at you and knows it's the orthopedic tuxedo.
Hope's famous friends make a lot of great jokes at the entertainer's expense. A lot of them went on to make appearances at other Dean Martin roasts, which is a testament to them.
Bob, darling, you made me what I am today. Depressed.
Don Rickles, John Wayne, and even a pre-presidential Ronald Reagan get in on the act in this one.
Seriously, Bob would do well in politics. He certainly has to be one of the most familiar faces in America. He's entertained over 10 million troops and seen by more than 100 million TV viewers. And if you throw in the 27 people who've seen his movies, you have a pretty sizable constituency.
Naturally, Hope's side-eyed and facial expressions lean into every loaded gag and pun. Number 8. Ronald Reagan, The Dean Martin Show. Speaking of President Reagan, he was still governor of California when he was man of the hour for a Dean Martin Celebrity Roast, all the way back in 1973.
When I look at you and I think how gray my hair is and how sandy yours is.
It's sort of surreal to see the future leader of the United States chumming it up with his Hollywood pals. Reagan's path to the presidency is still a ways away during the event, but the dais spares no expense when it comes to tackling his political career. Don Rickles, in particular, gives him the business about being a celebrity attempting to govern, while the guest, to his credit, yucks it up the whole time.
You're an actor, phoning it up. Just stand on the lawn and say, "Move out of there!"
Who Who knew Ronald Reagan had such a great sense of humor? Number 7. Richard Pryor. The Richard Pryor Show. In the world of celebrity roasts, there are comebacks, and then there are Richard Pryor comebacks. Pryor's roast actually took place on his own sketch comedy show in 1977.
And a lot of people have asked me, said, what goes into making a show like this? And I told them, a lot of hard work and a total disregard for quality.
Although the series only lasted one season, with a mere 4 episodes, this moment when the cast roasts the star is insanely memorable. Specifically, it's when the comedian takes over and gives it back that things truly kick into high gear. A young Robin Williams notably fends off a particularly strong blast of Pryor's fiery humor.
I haven't seen anyone this funny since Jonathan Drake. Jonathan Drake, as you know, used to eat baseballs in the afternoon and fart footballs.
It's truly a shame that we only got one such roast on the short-lived show, because it's top-notch stuff.
I imagine next time they roast someone, they will ad-lib.
Number 6. Hugh Hefner. The New York Friars Club roast of Hugh Hefner. Celebrity roasts have always been a treasure trove of memorable moments, but this next one featured one truly infamous joke.
But look on the bright side, ladies. You only have to sleep on the wet spot once a week.
The Friars Club roast of Hugh Hefner was only taped weeks after the tragic events of September 11th, 2001, with many still wondering when it would be appropriate to make people laugh. Gilbert Gottfried tried to make a joke about the event, and the reaction was, well, negative. However, Gottfried then launched into what was perhaps the greatest telling of the crudest joke ever, the Aristocrats, and ended up getting the crowd on his side.
A talent agent is sitting in his office. A family walks in, man, woman, their 2 kids, and their little dog.
The full footage never made it to air, but clips of the incident can be seen both in the 2005 The Aristocrats and 2017's Gilbert documentaries. Number 5. Frank Sinatra. The Dean Martin Celebrity Roast. Who has the guts to insult the chairman of the board? Well, a lot of people actually, and the results speak for themselves.
See, they claim now that when you make a record, that Jerry Bale does the singing for you.
Not all of Dean Martin's celebrity roasts contain humor or references that are recognizable today. Yet Sinatra's enduring public persona is such that the jokes here still feel very funny and fresh.
Frank, love you. Got a boot you got on there clear up to here, and he's got a knife in one there on the right.
This is largely due to Old Blue Eye's reputation as a tough guy and his reported mob connections. We'd also be remiss not to mention the stories of bad behavior that always followed him and the Rat Pack. As a result, segments from the likes of Ronald Reagan, Ruth Buzzy, and yes, Don Rickles again make the celebrity roast one of the all-time greats.
It's all over, Frank. I know you don't like to hear that. It's gone.
Number 4. William Shatner. Comedy Central Roast. Few celebrity guests are perhaps as ripe for parody as the iconic William Shatner.
I'm sorry, once you started.
Every comic worth their salt has some form of Shatner impression hidden somewhere in their back pocket. Captain Kirk for all occasions, if you will. And yes, this does certainly come into play with some of the jokes here on this special. But roasters on the dais also spend time talking about things like Shatner's personality, talent, and age.
How does anyone that mediocre get to be in that many movies? Seriously, Kevin Pollak, how does that happen?
George Takei gets in on the act, while Leonard Nimoy turns up in a pre-taped segment. And did we mention the inimitable Betty White is there? What more could you ask for?
Oh, Bill, all your friends are either dead or they hate you.
Number 3. Charlie Sheen. Comedy Central Roast. Charlie Sheen is another celebrity whose personal behavior and run-ins with trouble made him a prime target to be roasted.
Charlie's meltdown was so bad, Al Gore's making a documentary about it.
And Comedy Central spares no expense, delivering the goods with what has to be one of their best modern celebrity roasts.
For some reason, you're able to defy science and medicine and continue to survive. I'll pencil you in for your relapse next week.
They even managed to nab Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash to play Sheen into the show, making the affair truly feel like a rock and roll party. The guest of honor's peers do a great job pointing out his shortcomings while still recognizing his talent and influence as an actor. In other words, it's roast gold.
Drugs couldn't kill me. Sex couldn't kill me. The press couldn't kill me. 2.5 Men couldn't kill me. Did you really think your little jokes were gonna hurt me?
Number 2. Pamela Anderson, Comedy Central Roast. It would have been easy for the Comedy Central roast of Pamela Anderson to have flopped, were it not for the grand sense of humor of its honoree.
What's with the books, Pam? You have 2 novels out, 2 novels. You've now written more books than you've read.
The former Baywatch star has always been able to laugh at herself, and it's this graciousness that shines through as each roaster takes turns focusing on her appeal and, well, attributes. Anderson isn't the only target, however, as Courtney Love gets hers from the dais, as does fellow roaster B. Arthur.
I have just finished reading her new novel, Starstruck. I would like to read to you my favorite passage from the book.
The whole thing is raw, slightly sleazy, and feels like it's gonna fly off the rails at any time. We love it.
As a woman not nearly as famous or as beautiful, let me say from the bottom of my heart, knock it off, bitch.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Bob Saget, Comedy Central Roast. It feels fitting that we honor 2 comedians who left us far too soon, the aforementioned Greg Giraldo and roast subject Bob Saget. Giraldo offers up a blast of hot fire when he lays into Saget, targeting the Full House man's sense of artistry.
You are a vortex of artistic compromise. Charlie Sheen watches you and feels good about himself.
Meanwhile, Norm Macdonald does the unthinkable, bombing on purpose. His set is probably the best gift he could have given Saget and us as viewers.
No, there are times when Bob has something on his mind, when he wears a hat.
It's truly a comedian's comedian move of meta brilliance. Beyond this, however, the Comedy Central special does what every good roast should. It pushes boundaries, celebrates an icon's career, and, most importantly, makes us laugh.
You know, they say the measure of a man is judged by the company he keeps. I'm
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.